The world didn't give it to me. This love that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This love that I have, the world didn't give it to me. Church, the world didn't give it, so the world can't take it away. I think we better stand and agape swing. The choir, didn't give it to me. And it's just what I had. The world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it to me. The world can't take it away. Let's try that one more time. Three of those. This love, yeah. This love, yeah. The world didn't give it to me. And you shake your finger too. This love that I have, the world didn't give it to me. One more of those. This love that I have. Shake your finger. The world didn't give it to me. Now we're gonna tell the truth. The world didn't give it, so the world can't take it away. Back up on this. The world didn't give it. The world didn't give it. Stay there. The world didn't give it. What? The world didn't. Society? Your mama. Your daddy. The textbook. That boss. What? The world didn't give it. The world can't take it away. One more of those. This love. This love that I have. Three of those. The world didn't give it. Don't say I see it with us. Hey. This love that I have. The world didn't give it to me. One more, hey. This love that I have. The world didn't give it to me. Tell the truth now. The world didn't give it, so the world can't take it away. Back to the world didn't give it. Here we go. The world didn't give it. The world didn't give it. What? The world didn't give it, so the world can't take it away. We're gonna say the world didn't give it, but we're gonna back it down to our chairs. The world didn't give it. The world didn't give it. Hey, the world didn't. Oh, that bad for it, oh yeah. Hi, I just thought we just spoke a lot more truth, right? It's time to wake up, and we get to declare also that the love we have, that the joy we have, that the world actually doesn't create it. It doesn't give it to us, so it can't actually take it away. Right? And we're talking this morning about following the flame of your purpose. Because I know this morning when you got up, you said, oh man, as I put my mascara on, right, you were, yeah. Put my mascara on, as I combed my hair in that oh so special way, as I put lotion on. I always have to put lotion on. But I'm going to have to put lotion. Putting my lotion on. I know when you woke up this morning and you were combing your hair and putting all the chemicals and creams and things, you said, you know what? I know exactly what I'm going to do today. I'm going to make me some sameness up in here. Oh, whatever I do, may it be the same. Any room I come in, let it stay status quo. I'm up to some sameness. Oh, I know what my life is for sameness. But no, you got up this morning knowing that you wanted to have a life that made a difference. Not a sameness.
Right.
Right?
Right. Yes.
Okay. It's okay if you go Baptist on me. I like a group participation kind of thing. Okay, and I've got a compadre crying over here. Okay. So we got up this morning knowing that we were going to make a difference. I'm inviting you, though, not to just make a difference, because anybody can make a difference. I'd like to make a difference. And really, Joanne, I'd like to make a difference. But what if you wanted to make the difference?
Yes. Uh-huh. Oh, yes.
What if you'd be willing to be the difference that gets made in any room you come into? Not because you had to do something special, but because your consciousness was such that it emitted a spiritual fragrance into the room, and just by inhaling your countenance, your prayed upness, your spiritual practice, it all just lifts and gets better just because you came into the room. You would make the difference, not simply a difference. It comes for sure out of understanding a couple of things about yourself. Maybe only one. Maybe you just get to know what I already know. Is that you were born actually for a reason. Like, actually, you're here because you brought light with you. You brought the capacity to be the difference in someone's life. You're going to be the kind of difference I wouldn't be in their life. But you, when you come into the room, you bring that special something that only you can bring. There's just something about you. And the way you do that is that you follow the flame of your passion. You follow your yes wherever it takes you. Is this okay so far?
Yes.
And so we don't have to manufacture nothing, right? Because the love that we have, this joy that we have, all we have to do is what Angel said, is just simply awaken to it. It's like already there. What if you were the restorer in your family, in your community, and in your world? Not long ago, the lady across the street was having a yard sale, and I'm moseyed on over there, like sideways. I had cash in my pocket, ready to negotiate for some yummy in the yard. And when I got there, what was left was an ugly table. It had a lot of stuff on it, paint, layers and layers of paint. But it seemed to have what people call, or at least HGTV calls, good bones. So the structure was really good. And I got it home, and then I started to beg for something that no one really wanted me to have for Christmas. I begged for a heat gun. Somehow people don't think I'm good with tools. Like the gun could be on really high, and I might point it, right? But I managed to get a heat gun. And I discovered that with the heat gun, if I applied it to that table that had 20 years of paint upon it, and if I used a credit card or an old piece of cardboard, the edge of a cardboard, and the heat gun, the paint that seemed so there, maybe the identity of the table was so wrapped in to its last color. It was so sure I'm mahogany. Okay, I know I'm mahogany from the movie. What if the table was totally convinced that what was on top of it was who it was, because through the filter of 20 years of paint, that's how the world looked to them, appeared to them, and they lived from that view of the world. But with the heat gun, something happens. The paint starts to bubble up. It looks so permanent. It looks so real. In our teachings, we are not looking to live a realistic life. Because when you do a realistic life, you are doing an example of a life. I think that's realistic ain't the thing. Ooh, that's so realistic. We're looking for a real life. So with the heat gun and pushing of the moistening paint, 20 years, you can push and push till you start to see what's underneath 20 years of paint. 20 years of paint reveals that there is a wooden table underneath. The wood has not been harmed by the paint.
Good.
What? The wood has not hurt the paint. It's still itself underneath layers. I don't know about you, but I have layers on my life of eyebrows. Not the ones I barely have anymore. But have you ever been subjected to a strange movement of someone's eyebrow when you're your most happy? And they move that one eyebrow up, and it can set you back 20 years. So the wood underneath 20 years of eyebrows, opinions. I don't know about you, but I used to have a certain set of friends that I would go to, especially when I was jubilant. These people were guaranteed to say the thing that would bring me down. I kept them around just for that purpose. I didn't know it at the time, but I know if I tell Sally that thing, Sally's gonna move her eyebrows, do something with the corners of her mouth, and the paint will stay right where it is. I was in the removal system, but then the paint will stay steady. I just want you to know that today, I'm the heat gun. I'm your invited heat gun. And see, the heat gun is your prayer work. The heat gun is your daily spiritual practice. The heat gun is your loving relationships with each other. And for sure, the heat gun is your loving relationship with yourself. And when you apply that kind of spiritual heat, that kind of spiritual alchemy, that which is actually not true about you starts to melt and can be pushed away. Something that we thought was so permanent. I got back from London not long ago, and I told them this, and I thought I'd tell you too. In my heart, I've watched too many crime movies, especially Mission Impossible. And Mission Impossible always has someone who will, it's like there's a hostage situation, right? And someone brings someone out at knife point to the, a knife to the neck to the 7-Eleven parking lot, and red lights are moving, and they say, don't make a move, or this poor person is going down, right? And then during the program, there's always one of those special sharpshooters. Now, my daddy used to take me hunting. I hope it's not because he wished he had an older son. But I used to go hunting with my father and learn how to handle weapons quite well. So this is why I could imagine such a thing. So in my movie, I'm the sharpshooter that they call in. They fly you in on the special helicopters, right? And they drop you off on the top of the building on the other side of the street of the 7-Eleven parking lot. And you have a precision about you so thorough, right? That when no one else can take the shot, you can. So they wire in, hey Coleman, you got a shot at it? And I say, I certainly do. And the shot I'm going to take is at that which holds you hostage.
Yeah.
Like that crazy idea, the way you described yourself too small, those disempowering conversations. There's just this thing that can hold you hostage and walk you out in the middle of the night to the 7-Eleven parking lot when all you went to do is go get a Slurpee and then let you have that and enjoy it. There's so much self-criticism. 20 years of paint, you see. We got a heat gun, we got a crazy woman on the roof. And here's what I want you to know about the sharpshooter you're dealing with. She has a level of precision where her prayer blade is such that when she slices down, she slices the cancer away from the living tissue, pulls the boil off and disposes of it and leaves you there. On the roof, I take a shot at your otherness. I I take a shot at your nightmare of separation. That's what's holding you. It's only the nightmare of separation that messes our lives up anyway. We think we're not connected to each other. So I'm on the roof. I remember what my daddy said. When you take your shot, either using the bow or the gun, you've got to either decide whether you're going to exhale and pull the trigger or inhale, hold it, and pull the trigger, but not moving in your breath. You come to stillness like in meditation, right? And then you pull the trigger and it takes out the separation, which was the big blow to nothingness anyway, so no one's really dying. But there's something that falls. There's the knife of your old belief system. It falls to the ground with a clunky, chunky sound. What I'm submitting for your consideration this morning is that which is falling ain't you. So don't get it confused. So something starts to fall in your awareness this morning. It's the thing that was holding you, not you. You will still be standing at the end of this conversation, you and I together, you see, because this love that we have, the world didn't give it to us, and we are going to follow the flame of our purpose. We're going to follow the flame of our purpose, and we're going to get all lit and lit up. Are you following me so far? Because I've used the heat gun to tell you that this love that you have, that which is eternal about you, no matter how many layers of otherness you put on top of it, one prayer and it melts away. The heat of your yes will melt away all those disempowering conversations. They can go away in an instant. They are actually not permanent. What's permanent is the wood underneath. I'm saying that in a community, at Agape we say there's immunity inside your community. Your community gives you immunity, and that's the shot I'm taking, that we become immune to separation. We become immune to thinking we're lost. We become immune to all that otherness, and finally we are one with each other, because finally we are one with ourselves.
Yes.
Okay, I better move on to my next point, or should be going. Okay, so the next thing I want to say is, ordinary is waiting for you at the door. An ordinary life is just waiting for you to come out after feeling so good about yourself, feeling, oh, the hills are in Lord. And go right out there and have an ordinary life. But I'm inviting you to have an extraordinary life. The way you follow the flame is to make a decision that you will live an extraordinary life versus an ordinary life. An ordinary life is full of complaining as if it's spiritual practice. Like that's the affirmation. Like finding what's missing without bringing any medicine for the what's missing. People who live extraordinary lives are unstoppable. It's in your statements. People who are extraordinary have a see-to-it capacity. They see to it that on their watch your life goes well. They're following a flame of love. The way you move from an ordinary life to an extraordinary life is one decision you have to make and one declaration. You have to decide what your life is for. What is my life for? What is my life about? As soon as I make my declaration, I move from an ordinary life to an extraordinary life, and from that day forward, that is the flame of my purpose that I'm following. And then all my behaviors match my declaration. Your behaviors are already matching your declaration. So if you don't like how your life is going, you're going to have to rinse your mouth. You're going to need a spiritual Altoids. Curiously strong. Something that will interrupt and disrupt your as usual and the way it always is. Not long ago, and maybe it was long ago, my memory does things. Maybe it's Alzheimer's. Okay. Old-timers. Okay. I'm hoping I'm being really funny. I got to meet a system called existential metapsychiatry. I know. You can Google that, not right now. Existential Existential metapsychiatry I met at the beginning of the 80s. When I met this particular work, many of us, my colleagues, two of my colleagues, some real cute guy named Michael, we loved the work, and we went, the School of Ministry was in Los Angeles, and so we would drive, to Orange County, which is where I'm from, and to meet in the offices. And two things got said there that I have cherished all the days of my life since then. Thomas Hora, who downloaded this work, Existential Metapsychiatry, through his teachers, Jan Lindhorst, said that he only had two ways he was living, not like in duality, but two sentences he could say it, his purpose in his life. He said that the purpose of his life was to be a beneficial presence on this earth.
Yes.
Yeah.
What? To be a beneficial presence on this earth. To hold myself and know myself to be a beneficial presence will hold my willingness to be a sculptor, will hold my willingness to be friends, will hold my preacher woman self. All of that can be in the container called the purpose of my life. The flame I am actually following is that everywhere I go, you can notice me being a beneficial presence on this earth. Could you turn to each other and just say, I'm a beneficial presence on this earth. Now don't get me wrong, I've been to all the workshops trying to find my purpose. Just like you, I went to all the workshops. Right, I made circles, I crossed them off. I even invented my own path called Running North with Harriet Tubman. Right, which used to be a 6-month process, right, where people would find their purpose in the north of their mind. So all of that.
That sounds great.
Yeah,
Is that still available?
Yes, and instead of, and each place had way stations or safe houses that we would do spiritual practices in and rituals. Okay, so all of that. And still, I'm sitting in front of existential metapsychiatry, and they say that my purpose is to be a beneficial presence on this earth. And then when I had to check out, so what am I here for? What am I here for? I'm like, what am I here for? What am I here for? They had the nerve to answer. They said, existential metapsychiatry says, I am only here for God. Thank you. Good moan. That I am only here for God. This settles the way I let myself off the hook by pretending I don't know. So I could spend another 5 years finding my purpose, looking for the meaning of my life. Instead, I get to be the meaning maker. I come in and I say what the meaning is. I ain't searching for meaning, I bring the meaning. I bring the meaning out of the container of my heart that I gave fully over, surrendered to, that I am a beneficial presence on this earth, and no matter what you see me doing, I am actually only here for God. Then I could do any expression inside that container. That's the flame I'm following, and that is the flame I'm offering you this morning. And that to get away from when you move from an ordinary life to an extraordinary life, you got to have an answer in place. The bridge is, what are you here for? I am only here for God. What do? Well, I'm a beneficial presence on this earth. That solves it, and then it can have a myriad of expressions. It has unlimited ways that it could express itself. It could be watercolor, it could be acrylic, it could be poetry, it could be all kinds of things. But whatever it is, it's always to pour out and make not a difference, but to be the difference. To be a beneficial presence on the earth is a life worth living. It will be a life of contribution. And I want this for you. How much time am I? Is this okay so far?
Wonderful.
This love that I have, it didn't give it to me. I was already a beneficial presence, but I'm off the hook for pretending I'm not. Once I make the declaration about what my life is about and what my life is for, then I don't get to do the runaround in search of meaning.
Yeah.
Because in search of lets you not do it. You can spend your life searching for and never have to be or do the thing. Never have to say the thing. Never have to live the life. Just always be in the search of the life. Never arriving, therefore never having to be able to make a contribution. To let us know that you are actually here because you see there is a work that only you can do. And your work is in any way you're going to be it, you get to be the holy heat gun. Your prayer work, you come into the room and it makes a difference. And people who didn't know about it, who cried the night before, I gotta tell you, you're gonna meet some people today, if they're not in this room, who cried all night long last night, got up, got dressed, came here and hoped they would hear something that would be worth listening to. The kind of something they want is something that would make the difference, that would tell them something about themselves, and they would finally be able to believe it because it came from you. You said it in that way. You make the difference. So that allows you now to get all lit up.
Yes.
So we're going to follow the flame of our purpose. I am only here for God. I'm a beneficial presence on this earth. It has many expressions, but I'm solid and I'm clear and I'm settled about what my life is for. Moves me immediately from being an ordinary, stoppable, excusable, make up a reason for about life to being solid and clear in my countenance.
Yes.
And I don't have to do any work to be in this countenance. It's a perfume. The perfume does the work. And the Bible says God does the work, but I translated it differently. You know, I moved the Aramaic around. Okay. I love the Bible, so I made a new translation, and I said God's perfume makes the difference. So to be lit, I want you to have a lit life. L-I-T. Lit. L stands for love your life. I want you to have a life that you're so on fire about that you are no longer keeping your devotional life a secret. You're no longer keeping from even yourself that you found the thing you were looking for, and it could have been in a seedling form, but you have indeed found it. I'm inviting you from this day forward to love your life at such a level that you no longer are waiting and seeking something, but you claim yourself as being found. I have found. I'm no longer a seeker. I have found. And because I have found, I become like the Amazon. I become a fountain to which the creatures can come and lean low into my sacred wet of my prayer work, of my life, of my devotion, of my commitment to this earth to be a beneficial presence. I'm like with fresh water. And that which has been too long dry can become moist again. You hear around me the thunder. Soon come rain, they say in Jamaica. Soon come. Lit, to love your life. To ignite your desire. Desire is a little different from the word want, and I'm running out. Okay. Desire is a little stronger than just I want. I want. Desire, if you have a desire to make an impact and a difference on this earth, it becomes your purpose and what brings you to the world. It shapes the service. It shapes the path. It shapes your actions when you are in desire. But you will have to turn it on. You have to say yes to your desire. You have to be willing to, first of all, feel your desire. That there is a reason and a purpose for your life. It ain't done. It ain't finished being fulfilled. And then you ignite your desire. And then T, that you will trust your rightness. Trust your rightness. So it's love your life, ignite, catch it on fire, pour the gasoline of your yes on your desire, and go up in the flame, the eternal flame. Join the one flame. And then trust your rightness, that the path you have chosen and have been